Morning, everyone. I hope you guys are all well. Welcome to second bonus session of the Nature Connection Challenge. We'll be wrapping this group up this coming Saturday. I think we'll be closing down this Facebook group because we won't be moderating it anymore. But between now and then, we've got a few bonus sessions. We're going to do a bonus session on yarrow, about why we should all be foraging for yarrow now, what it is, where to find it, how to identify it, what to do with it, and how to make tincture out of it. So a practical demo, and we'll let you know about that later on in the week. And I guess today I almost do want to make a plea. I can't remember the last time I did a video where I was almost pleading people to listen and pleading people to spread the message, I suppose. But this is one of those times where I think it's relevant because the whole arena of what is being called mismatch diseases is just, I've never seen a trajectory like it, I suppose, in terms of going from something that was fringe, not really known about, quite evidentially weak, to being something that is completely changing the whole framework of what we understand around why are we all getting so sick? Why are the rates of cancers, heart disease, Alzheimer's, type 2 diabetes, depression, osteoarthritis, insomnia, fatigue, all of it? Why are the levels so much exponentially higher than what they should be? Okay. And I think we're going to see a lot more about this in the media, in the press. This mismatch thing is going to become really big, and for good reason, because it's suddenly explaining the missing piece in the puzzle of why we're getting so sick, the actual mechanisms behind it. And I just want to read out, trawling through some of the research I've got over the years from conferences and whatnot. So here's a great quote from one of the leading experts in the field of evolutionary medicine, which is, so I don't think it is possible to overemphasize just how important mismatched diseases are. You are most likely going to die from a mismatched disease. You are most likely to suffer from disabilities caused by a mismatched disease. You're most likely to have your quality of life reduced by a mismatched disease, and mismatched diseases contribute to the bulk of healthcare spending throughout the world. Okay, that's a really, really, really powerful statement. And then the research quantifies, and I'm not going to reel them all off because it'll take too long and it'll bore you all, but just to list some of the pathologies, some of the diseases and illnesses that are now accepted. Not exclusively. We can't say that every disease, every chronic illness is caused by mismatch mechanisms. I'll talk about what they are in a minute. But what the research does show that these mismatch mechanisms are in some way, shape, or form foundational and causative of these kinds of illnesses. So this is a fraction of the illnesses that they're saying are being caused by this mismatched mechanism, okay? So acid reflux, Alzheimer's, asthma, athlete's foot, AD, ADHD, most cancers, cavities, chronic fatigue syndrome, coronary heart disease, Crohn's disease, depression, type 2 diabetes, endometriosis, fibromyalgia, glaucoma, failing eyesight, high blood pressure, irritable bowel syndrome, lower back pain, metabolic disease, osteoporosis, osteopenia, stomach ulcers, the list goes on. Okay, so that's like a who's who, of the diseases we don't want to get. Okay, these are the chronic, life-limiting. Xanthi, can you just go out to mummy for a second? I'm just so school holidays. So these are kind of the life-limiting diseases that, like that previous quote said, that we're most likely to get and are most likely to kill us and most likely to reduce our quality of life. So what are these mismatched diseases? I think it's easiest to describe a mismatched disease based upon an analogy. a great analogy which is often given is this idea of kind of an animal from Africa. Imagine you go to Africa, you capture a zebra, and you take that zebra over and you take it into the Sussex countryside, okay, and you let it go free, okay. Hypothetically, it can go where it wants. On the one hand, you've taken away the risks of lions, you've taken away the risks of all the predatory animals, you've taken away the risks of water shortage and food shortage, you've taken away the risks of migration, you've taken away the risks of malaria and insect-borne diseases of Africa. So you've taken away a huge amount of risk by taking that zebra to a safer environment. But come winter, what's going to happen? It's not going to be able to find probably enough suitable food. It's not going to be able to stay warm. It's not going to be able to protect itself. It's going to be isolated, and it's probably going to get sick and die very, very quickly. Why? Because there is a mismatch between the environment a zebra has evolved to live in and the environment that we've hypothetically picked it up and transmuted him across to in the Sussex countryside. Through doing that, we've taken away loads of risks to the zebra. We've added in more damaging ones through doing that. And that's exactly what mismatched diseases are to humans. So it comes back to this Paleolithic genome that, the evidence is clear that the way our bodies evolved, 50, 60, 70,000 years ago to be active, to be eating pure food, to be living in a clean environment, to be not exposed to toxins, to be sleeping well, to be having very, very deep rest and play periods, to be connected to nature. It also came with higher risks. Back 70,000 years ago, we had lots of risks we don't have now. But by picking ourselves up from that environment that we've evolved in, those genes are still in us now. The evidence has shown that our genes haven't really changed much in the last 30, 40,000 years. We've picked ourselves up from that environment that we know, that we need, that we know how to adapt to and thrive in. We picked ourselves up like the zebra, and we plonked us into an environment that we haven't genetically had time to adapt to. An environment of pollution, of toxins, of high sugar diets, of processed foods, of long periods of sedentary behavior, of multitasking, of not enough, peak experiences where we're completely immersed in a singular activity rather than multitasking. We're not connected with nature. All of these kinds of things that creates a mismatch between how our body should and needs to be living compared to how it is and shouldn't be living. And the greater that gulf becomes, the greater our risks of falling prey to the kinds of illnesses that I've just read out. Like I said previously in this challenge group, I, over the last 2-3 years, well, I guess the last 10 years generally, but the last 3 years very, very specifically, have just immersed myself and tried to read and talk and study with everyone I can who's expert in this area. And the more I study, the more motivated I become and the more worried I become around this area, because I think it's the missing piece of the puzzle. Like I said previously, I think if we're attending to it, it's either really, really good or really bad. If we're not attending to it, if we're not aware of mismatch, it's called the mismatch hypothesis. If we're not aware of the mismatch hypothesis, if we're not aware of mismatch diseases, we're not doing things to reduce the mismatch between how we should and how we are. If we're not doing things to proactively protect ourselves, the risks of these illnesses, cancers, heart disease, Alzheimer's, is going to grow exponentially. And we're seeing that. This isn't theory. This isn't conjecture. This isn't fear-mongering. We're seeing it in the public health data around the world. In the Western world, the rates of illness are 7-8 times higher than what they should be. We shouldn't be having the level of cancer, heart disease, Alzheimer's, type 2 diabetes, obesity, fatigue, osteoarthritis. We shouldn't be having the level of these illnesses that we are. We should be having them, but nowhere near the level we are. Why? I'm convinced, I would stake my entire professional career on it, that it's because of mismatch. And I just wish I could kind of speak to the whole Western world about why this is so important, because yes, it is a real risk. It's a very real risk that is playing out in front of us. Is playing out in front of us around the people we love who are getting sick, what the public health data is showing. So it's a very real problem. But the beauty of it is that it's also very easy to antidote. It's not difficult to antidote. All it requires is implementing simple things that act as biohacks that essentially give our genetic structure, give our genome what it needs. Okay, in the same way that we go back 30, 40, 50,000 years when we were living in a world that we were designed to live in, our genes, our bodies, our mind, our brain, our emotions, our biochemistry, our immunity, it got what it needed. It got it from the food we were eating, the environments we were in, the way we lived, the sights we saw, the connections we had. We don't need to go back to being hunter-gatherers to get those gains. We just need to biohack the genome. We just need to trick the genome into getting enough of those triggers to make it feel like we're living in a non-mismatched way. Okay, and if we do that, we can do it. We can do it so simply and so easy. I think that's why this is such a paradigm-changing concept, because it doesn't require us to spend 4 hours a day out in nature. It doesn't require us to kill our own food. It doesn't require us to take stupid measures. It requires us to do a couple of simple things a day. And if we do those simple things, the whole framework of our physiology changes. And that's pretty much what we've been talking about, in the challenge. All of the approaches that we were discussing in the challenge last week were based around approaches that help to counter this mismatch. And obviously, the reason we created the 8-week program, so I know I'm looking at all the names here. Hello, everyone who's signing on. I think most of you have signed up to that program anyway. But the reason we created the 8-week programs, the 8-week program, the Paleolithic Health Plan, is about what does the most robust science say about how we counter this mismatch problem? Okay, what kinds of biohacks, what kinds of simple approaches do we implement into our life that reduces this mismatch? And the whole, that 8-week program is ultimately, as it stands now, the best framework that we can create for facilitating that. So if you're looking to join that, program, then do check it out. Like we're just over 90% full as of this morning. I think we've got about 15 places left. Okay, so if you're looking to join, you're going to need to do it pretty quick. But that will give you a framework for embedding these kinds of biohacks for minimizing mismatch. But even if you don't sign up for that, just make sure that you're doing things every day that trick the genome, that trick the mind, trick the brain, trick the genes into thinking that we're not living in a mismatched world. Okay, because if we carry on living the way we are living, disconnected from the natural world, sitting down too much, not moving enough, not connecting, not experiencing all of these emotional traits that are so indicative of the Paleolithic genome, if we're not giving the body that, all the body is saying, all the genes are saying is that I'm living in an environment that I don't understand. I don't know how to thrive in this environment in the same way the zebra didn't. And what happens when that message is played out long enough? We get sick. That's what the evidence shows. So please take this seriously. Please kind of create a little bit of a movement in your own circles, in your own household, your own workplace, your own friendship group. Just trying to get people to connect with simple practices that just create that biohack. Okay, it's that simple. So if you're looking for, like I said, these approaches for doing that, do check out the 8-week course. We kick off week Monday, August the 2nd, in the Ayurvedic Mentor. You can sign up. It's $19.99 a month to access the course and everything else in the Mentor. You can cancel that anytime. There's no contract or anything. But other than that, I'll let everyone go. Thank you for joining me this morning, everyone. Carol, Lindsay, Sheila, Sally, Tracy, Juliet, Irina. Hello, everyone. So have a lovely day. Have a lovely weekend. Get out and just make sure you're doing some of these practices, okay? Because it's impossible for me to overemphasize enough how significant this is in not getting sick, okay, chronically sick. I just think if we bring this into the public health model, if we bring mismatch anti-dosing approaches into our world, I think we can transform the public health model and our own health model. Okay, it's that powerful. So do make sure you tap into those gains. Have a lovely weekend, and I'll see you soon.